Hey guys, what is going on? I hope you all are doing well today. Elliot here, and welcome back to The Fragrance Well. Got a little bit of a fun hypothetical video for you guys today. Let's say you have to wear one fragrance for every month of the year. I'm gonna do that today. I'm not actually gonna do this for real, but I did kind of just think about what each month has to offer temperature wise. This is kind of gonna be more of a temperature video more than anything, but temperature wise also maybe what are some of the events going on during that month, maybe taking that into account a little bit. And I decided to pick one fragrance and say, hey, that's the fragrance I'm gonna wear for that entire month, or at least on a regular basis. I'm gonna wear it daily for the entire month. Do keep in mind, I am considering the fact that, hey, I live in the United States. Obviously, if you're in the Southern Hemisphere, the temperatures are gonna be different. Different parts of the world in terms of other countries, there might be different types of celebrations, but this is gonna be focused on what's going on in the United States, so do keep that in mind if you live outside of the US. Before we get started, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel if you do like the content, hit that bell icon and enable your notifications so you can be notified when I upload new videos. Let's get into it. All right, for the month of January, let's start out with this one from Chanel, Le Lion de Chanel. Le Lion de Chanel. So in January, obviously, it's winter time. In many ways, could be the coldest month of winter, depending on where you are. The holidays are officially over, so the celebration aspect of it has passed here in the States, but it's still cold. Everybody's just kind of getting into the rhythm of the new year. I figured this one would work because it'll pretty much just work for that cold weather. You could classify this as an ambery scent, but it is very resinous with a spicy touch to it, slightly animalic, very nice citrus in the opening to kind of give it a little bit of brightness, but you're pretty much getting a dose of labdanum from this fragrance. So very resinous, a little bit spicy, and ambery in nature. Definitely will cut through some cold weather. Not gonna be for everyone. I would say you do have to kind of be a fan of these type of scents to wear this on a daily basis, but definitely a good one to cut through that cold. That's pretty much why I put this here. And also, I just love this stuff. Once again, from Chanel, this is Le Lion de Chanel. That's my January scent. All right, moving on to the month of February, and we've got one from Thameen, London. This is Carved Oud. Thameen, London's Carved Oud. Now, in the month of February, it's still cold for the most part, still pretty much winter time. But what we do have here in the States is kind of the celebrations of Valentine's Day. So the whole love theme, that kind of stuff, showing appreciation for those you care about. Candy is very much centered here. So you might think gourmand. Me personally, I wouldn't want to wear a gourmand fragrance every single day, so I wouldn't put that as my scent for the month. But what I figured I would do is put something that has a nice sexy allure that still works in those cold temperatures. Carved Oud definitely does that. Obviously based off of Tom Ford's Oud Wood, but much more depth to it, a little bit more movement, a little bit more elements to it. Obviously has the oud, but there's also kind of a candy-like sweetness. I wouldn't say it's a gourmand sweetness, but it's in there. Does have a lot of really nice patchouli in it as well. You've got the spicy element. Spices always tend to go very well in cold temperatures, and this one definitely has a very sexy allure to it. So even if I wanted to just wear this for Valentine's Day, even though I'm wearing it for other days, I think it would also work for a Valentine's Day date night or something like that. Once again, the fragrance for the month of February is Thameen, London's Carved Oud. All right, next up for the month of March, we're gonna go with Amouage's Lyric Man. Amouage Lyric Man. So with March coming around, spring is starting to make its way back into the fold. Florals are starting to bloom. Grass is starting to look greener, maybe not so brown depending on where you are. It's starting to slightly warm up a little bit. I figured I would go with a fragrance that does feature some floral notes, but still has enough richness to it, I guess is a good word to use, where even though it's still a little bit cooler out, it still can work in those temperatures. Amouage Lyric Man definitely does that. This is a rose fragrance, very jammy rose fragrance, but it does have some very nice citrus, some lime-like citrus to it, and it also features good amount of sweetness, some incensey notes, a little bit of a smokiness to it, a couple of resins, and also a lot of pine in this fragrance, so adding to that green element also. So I really think this is a great transition fragrance, and one I would definitely love to wear on a daily basis, particularly in that early springtime where it's starting to warm up, but it still might be a little bit cooler when the sun goes down. So once again, for the month of March from Amouage, this is Lyric Man. All right, next up, we're moving on to the month of April. We're gonna go with one from Xerjoff. This is Uden Overdose. Xerjoff's Uden Overdose. So in the month of April, now springtime is pretty much getting into full effect here. Flowers are definitely all the way out. In terms of celebrations, you got Easter, but I don't really associate smells with that one. But yeah, this one here is not really floral. I was thinking originally I was gonna go with a very heavy floral fragrance, but I decided to go in a little bit different direction. This is more citrusy and spicy, but it does have a lot of tobacco flower in it. It really does encapsulate springtime in a different way. You got a little bit of a coffee in here, adds a lot of earthy richness to it, very ambery and musky base to it, beautiful citrus off the top, nice spicy fresh ginger in this fragrance. It really does work very well in the springtime. I mean, it's a great fragrance that lasts all day long. Kind of does work also when, you know, it's not hot all the time just as of yet, so it has enough richness to it to work in that cooler temperature that you might find yourself being in the evening, or just the cooler days that are still kind of lingering. So for the month of April, we're gonna go with Xerjoff's Uden Overdose. All right, moving on to the month of May. Another one from the house of Amouage. This is Beach Hut Man. Amouage Beach Hut Man. If you're not familiar with the fragrance, just ignore the name. It doesn't really encapsulate what the fragrance gives you. But this is a mint fragrance, and I think that mint kind of speaks to the fresh aspect of what you might be looking for when spring is in full effect. And when May is around, we're pretty much deep into springtime. There's not too many more cool days unless you're maybe way up north. So yes, once again, mint fragrance, very dry, green, and woody notes supporting it. Kind of a spicy touch to it, although there's not really any spices listed on the note breakdown, but it's a very interesting mint fragrance. You could wear this in summertime, but it might be a little too strong for that. And I was thinking if I wanted to kind of put this more so on the fall side, it does work in fall, you know, for a fall temperature fragrance, but I think that green aspect makes me think more spring, more so than fall, when you're kind of looking for that spice and maybe some tobacco or something like that. So for the month of May, deep into springtime, gonna go with this one here from Amouage. This is Beach Hut Man. All right, moving on to the month of June. From the house of Day 3 Fragrances, we've got Bani. Day 3 Fragrances, Bani. So in June, we're starting to get into the summertime temps. Primarily in my mind, this is when vacations really start for a lot of people, especially if they're in school. And that's kind of was the motivation for this fragrance for me. Bani is a beautiful mango scent, also featuring notes like papaya, a little bit green in the background, very musky base to it, kind of a sugary, musky base. And this fragrance screams vacation time to me. That's why I put it on the June list. June is not typically when I might try to go on vacation, but this is when people start going on their summer vacation, so to speak. So that's why I put Bani here. Beautiful scent, great for the warm weather. May not always be my first choice if it is scorching outside, which it doesn't typically get that hot in June, so that's kind of why I put it here. So once again, the June fragrance from the house of Day 3 Fragrances. This is Bani. All right, guys, for the month of July, we got one from the house of Mancera. That is Sicily. Mancera's Sicily. So as you know, when July starts to roll around, that's when the heat really starts to show its face. Depending on where you are, it may already be scorching. It definitely was here in Central Florida last year. Main reason I chose to go with Sicily is because I'm thinking for the month of July, you know, here in the States, that's Independence Day. So that's typically going to be associated with some barbecues. And for whatever reason, this fragrance just makes me think this would go good with a barbecue. I think because the fragrance kind of counters the smell of the smoke and the fire and the meat, you know, cooking over the fire and stuff like that. This is primarily a peach fragrance. I get peach, I get rose, there's some other fruitiness and some other floral aspects to it, very musky on the dry down. Really works well in the hot weather, and I think just kind of counters the smell of a barbecue. So that's why I chose this. And ironically, I didn't know this, July apparently is National Peach Month. So hey, peach fragrance for National Peach Month. Why not? Works well with the heat. Wouldn't mind wearing it every day. It's not like a beastly fragrance. So in the summertime, you're probably gonna shower more if you're gonna be out, and you could wear other fragrances. So I think this kind of tends to that as well. So for the month of July, from the House of Mancera, once again, this is Sicily. All right, so for the month of August, we're gonna go with this one from Louis Vuitton, and this is Pacific Chill. Louis Vuitton's Pacific Chill. So in August, it's undoubtedly hot. For many, it's probably the hottest month of the year overall. And why not go with what I consider to be the best summer release of last year? This fragrance is fruity, it's fresh, it's citrusy, it just works so well in the heat. You can spray a lot of it, you can spray a little bit of it, doesn't matter, it's just gonna work. And why not have something that's just really, really refreshing to just counter the overwhelming heat that you are probably going to experience in the month of August? There's a nice date accord in here, there's some fig, there's orange and lemon citrus, there's green notes. Green notes pretty much make up the base, kind of a clean, grassy green base, if you will, without it being too earthy or anything like that. It really complements the fruity accords that are in this fragrance very well, and it is pretty much a chill fragrance. So once again, for the month of August, we're gonna go with Louis Vuitton's Pacific Chill. All right, we're moving on to the month of September. From the House of Nishane, we've got Papilefiko. Nishane Papilefiko. So with September, you're kind of starting to roll into early fall. Now I will say this much for Central Florida, that kind of September just kind of gets like it's like a skipped month. It's like any kind of cooling down. It doesn't happen till a month to 2 months later. But for most people, September, it's starting to cool off. You're starting to get into the early fall season. So we all know as fragrance lovers, fall is like the favorite time of the year because you're getting away from the scorching heat and can go on to the awesome fall time fragrances. Since it's early fall and it's still pretty much hot during the day and it may be getting cool at night, decide to go with this one here. This does feature the spices, so that's very nice. Cardamom, coriander, spices like that. Does have some nice lavender, so it kind of retains a little bit of a cleanliness, and it's very balsamic in nature, kind of a mossy, balsamic, slightly smoky, dry down and base to this fragrance. I think it would work perfectly for that transition into the fall temperatures. Can work when it's still very hot out, as it may be for a lot of people, and if it does cool off a little bit, can still hold up to that light cold, if you will. So I think this is a great one for the month of September. So once again, from the House of Nishane, this is Papilefiko. All right, moving on to the month of October, we're gonna go with one from Parfums de Marly, and it's Herod. Parfums de Marly, Herod. Now, in October, we're into fall. At least most people are. At this point, leaves are probably pretty brown or red, yellow, orange, whatever color they may turn. It's definitely starting to cool off much more frequently now, and everybody really wants to wear that great fall fragrances, that fragrance that they've been waiting to pull out over the course of the summer. I think this one really encapsulates what fall is all about. It may not necessarily be the best fall fragrance ever, but it definitely gives you a clear idea of what we love about fall fragrances. You got the spicy element, you got some tobacco in there, and you've got really nice sweetness. I think all three of those things make up a great fall fragrance. That cinnamon, tobacco, smoky, vanilla, combination that you have in this fragrance really kind of brings it all home for me. And I think this is one of the perfect fall fragrances that you can wear on the market. So for the month of October, bringing in the fall, we got Parfums de Marly, Herod. All right, for the month of November, we got one from Roja Parfums, and it's Danger, Parfum pour un. Roja Parfums, Danger, Parfum pour un. So in November, we're deep into fall at this point. A lot of people, it's pretty much cold most of the time. And we're kind of starting to roll into that holiday season. So you might think or want to talk about holiday scents. I couldn't see myself wearing a fragrance that I would consider a holiday scent every single day, but I would want to have something that is spicy, can hold up to that cold. This fragrance can do that. Lots of lavender and lemon in this. These are pretty much the only accords I can really pick out from the fragrance. Beyond that, it's a collection of spices and woods. Really will cut through some cold weather, really kind of falls into that time of year in my opinion, and it's a great one to wear every single day. It is a powerful one. If you want to wear different scents, you might have to wash this one off, or at least not spray a ton of it, but I think this one encapsulates those deep, not deep, but real fall temperatures and the atmosphere, so to speak. And it's also something that, maybe a little bit different from what we might normally talk about in terms of being a fall fragrance. So once again, from the House of Rose Parfums for the month of November, this is Danger Parfum Pour Homme. All right, and finally, we are on to the month of December. We're going to go with this one from Mason Francis Kirkjohn. It's Grand Soir. Mason Francis Kirkjohn, Grand Soir. So with December, now you're starting to roll back into winter again. We've come full circle. Obviously, it's the holiday season, so that's in full effect, at least here in the States it is. And I figured with it getting really, really cold, why not go back to the amber theme, the deep amber fragrances. This is a wonderful amber fragrance. You got a lot of tonka bean, couple varieties of tonka bean in here, some really nice vanilla, a good amount of benzoin, and then you got like a labdanum lavender combination, kind of adding a spicy element to it. Wonderful winter time cold weather fragrance. Pretty much can work for any occasion in my opinion. My wife's been wearing the crap out of it over the last couple of months, so I've kind of smelled it on her and on her clothes, and every time I do, I just think like that smells wonderful. I don't really get tired of it, so I wouldn't mind wearing it every day. And it does kind of fall sort of into the holiday spirits, if you will, without it being a full-blown holiday fragrance. So once again, for the month of December, from the House of Mason Francis Kirkjohn, we're gonna go with Grand Soir. All right, guys, that's gonna do it for this video. Feel free to leave a comment below. If you want to, let me know what fragrance you would wear for each month of the year. Really curious to see what you guys say. And this was a little bit difficult for me. I honestly have plenty of fragrances I could apply to each month. I might do this again in a different video, choose some different fragrances. I really appreciate you guys. Remember to be well and smell well, and I will see you in the next episode of The Fragrance Well. Have a good one.